Hello everybody and welcome back for today. Well, we're taking a look at something a little bit different for the channel. If you're familiar with me, you'll know I'm a PSVR2 centric content creator. If you're not familiar with me, you'll now know that I'm a PSVR2 centric content creator. I love PlayStation as a platform because of its simple plug and play, although I do occasionally delve into PCVR, and previously, before using my PSVR2 as a PCVR headset, I was using a Quest 2 as a PCVR headset. I've used Quest 3, not too often, but a couple times, enough to appreciate its great controllers and pancake lenses, but most of my time is on PSVR2. But just recently we've got basically confirmation of a lot of specs for the Quest 3S, as we've been calling it, and now it is officially confirmed. That is the title, and we also have a price for this brand new headset. So I want to take today to talk about what I think of the Quest 3S from a standpoint of somebody who games mostly in virtual reality on PC and on console. What do I think would be the benefits of picking up one of these, say as a side headset, or if you don't own a headset at all, and whether or not I would be tempted to get one and cover it, get my hands on it and see what it's all about. Quest as a platform I think is pretty fantastic. Of course, it's going to be limited by hardware compared to mid to high-end PC VR or console VR, but that's kind of the point. You're spending a low amount of money, in this case for the Quest 3S, $299, to get your foot in the door with virtual reality and being able to play both the exclusives and the non-exclusives that are offered on the platform. To the average consumer, it doesn't really matter if these look a little bit worse than they do on, say, PSVR or on PCVR, because they're getting the games and they're getting to play them for a cheap entry price. That is where Quest 3S comes in. First of all, let's look at it visually. For your $299 or $300, you get the Quest controllers and this fairly small and light headset that allow you to play Arkham VR, Asgard's Wrath, you name it, you'll be able to play it on this thing. Visually, I really don't care what my headsets look like. I'm going to be wearing them on my head, usually in a room without other people in it, unless I'm doing a social VR experience. I do not care for the visuals of a headset unless it's something like the X-Real Air 2s, where I might be using it in public to consume content or to video edit. For a gaming focused device like this, I really am not bothered. It looks fine. On the hardware side of things though, it gets a little bit more interesting. We're using the same Snapdragon XR2 chipset, the Gen 2 this is, from the Quest 3, and also bundling the mixed reality color pass-through of the Quest 3, which is actually quite exciting. So for example, the Quest 3 experiences you've seen with aquariums being inside your room, or having a zombie break-in experience in your room, being shooting back at these things in mixed reality, all will be possible because you've got the same chip and the same pass-through cameras and capabilities from the Quest 3 on this cheaper headset, which is balancing a good price between the Quest 2 and the Quest 3. The 3S is exactly what I think the market needs right now, because contrary to what people believe, not everybody, of course, but I have had this comment pushed to me quite a few times, is that I've been paid by Sony and I am only all in on one platform. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that's not the case. I'm constantly raving about all VR and VR as a medium. And for VR to succeed, why the hell would I just want PSVR2 to be the only good platform to play games on and to consume content and to do work on? That's just not how an ecosystem like this is ever going to advance forward, and I think Quest 3S is doing a great job of sliding in the middle between Quest 2 and Quest 3 at about $300 between the $200 and $400 price point, and I think that will sell really well towards the holiday season because one, adults who are wanting to get into virtual reality will have a cheaper entryway, and two, a big market for VR of course is kids, and if they want a headset to play Gorilla Tag on. It might sound a little bit funny to pitch a headset at this angle, but this will sell units. It's nice to have that middle ground entry point that's got new tech in it with a new chipset and color pass-through, and is almost as cheap as the old Quest 2. It's just more options for people to buy, and we've seen with the PSVR 2 coming down to about $350. That sold like hotcakes in that period where it was on sale for that much, and I think we'll see a similar effect when the Quest 3S comes out. Now obviously there is a bit of a downside to the cost-cutting measures that have happened to this thing. To get it down to $300, you have to cut a couple of features, because otherwise where is that money being saved? And the answer is in its resolution and its lens clarity and slightly bulkier design, but I really don't think that's too big of a deal for me as a consumer. Let's talk lenses, because of course Quest 3S has Fresnel. In the VR space this is a big talking point, and I do understand it, but after playing around with Apple Vision Pro and Quest 3, experiencing Pancake is a fantastic thing. They are edge-to-edge clarity, incredible lenses, but I honestly think for a consumer who just wants to get into VR, even though finding the sweet spot in the lens is another little bit of work that is between you and your content for virtual reality. I think the average consumer won't really care too much what lens is in their headset. They will definitely notice things like God rays and having that smaller sweet spot, but as for impacting their VR experience and ruining their VR experience, I don't think that's going to really happen at all. Of course, for the diehards of us in virtual reality who know the difference, can tell the difference, and care about the difference, it's something that might be make or break. For me personally, it's not. I find Fresnel completely fine, mostly because I find getting that sweet spot isn't too difficult, especially on a headset that you're very used to putting on. You can get it pretty quickly. But I do get for some people, they're not going to want to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole because they've gone to Pancake, they've experienced that, and they don't want to go back, which is fair. And of course, the panel is lower resolution than the Quest 3. Again, the average consumer will notice this subconsciously maybe, but if you're a member of the public and don't really care about specs too in depth, you're going to be enjoying the content nonetheless. And finally, there's a market to be filled here for people who want to try out exclusive games on the Quest or exclusive experiences that haven't maybe made their way over to PSVR 2. While apps like Big Screen VR may come to PSVR 2 eventually, the only way to experience them right now if you're a PSVR 2 owner is to plug into a PC, but you could buy a Quest 3 or a Quest 2 or a Quest 3S now that it's filling in that little niche in the middle, and be able to experience those cinema-like environments in VR, which I think is something really useful and special. And until Contractors Showdown comes to PSVR 2, this might be a really cheap way of getting into that game as well, not to mention Normal Contractors, which is one of the only games that I can really think of that has such easy modding in terms of online multiplayer. So for apps and games like that, I do think this will fill in a nice niche of people that want maybe a second headset or a headset to get these sort of experiences with a new chipset and new tech while not breaking the bank. So I do think this is a very good thing for VR. Of course, there are concessions to be made with resolution and with the lens choice, but it's nothing we haven't experienced before, and I do think this will be quite a competitive little headset, and most importantly, increase adoption for virtual reality, which is always a good thing. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Most of you are PSVR 2 users, but will you be tempted to pick up a Quest 3S? For me, maybe. I'd love to get my hands on one and review one. Meta, if you're listening, hello. I'm kidding, but also not. But yeah, let me know what you think. We don't usually cover stuff like this on the channel, and I don't really plan on covering stuff like this too often, but it's the launch of a new product, which I find very exciting. I'm a hardware enthusiast after all. I enjoy new tech coming out and dissecting what makes what tick and what improvements are going to be made, and it seems there are a couple here for the consumer. Slightly lower end VR entry point, which is a very good thing. So thank you all for watching. Thank you to our patrons and YouTube members: Luke Bentley, Phil Irving, Hazit Mercer, Ace Gamer, Hippie Pickle, Jin007, A License to Chill, Sun WTF, Fat Controllers, The Game Guy, Andrew Ehrenreich, Jason Parker, Lamar Hall, Geordie Bansma, Lemon64K, Outcast VR, Prophecy777, and Gundy. Thank you all, and I'll see you all in the next one.